Little bunny rabbit. Ice cream.
So, hi everyone, welcome to another speed build. I am KiwiSimsKate, Kiwi because I'm from New Zealand, Sims because I love The Sims, and Kate because that's my name. It's as simple as that. Now, today's speed build is something, this house I built a long time ago. This is roughly like my 6th or 7th build I did specifically for my YouTube channel. And currently, while I'm recording this voiceover, it's going to be, I think, maybe the 21st or 22nd video released on my channel. But I'm only now recording the voiceover and putting the video out to you all. So please forgive me if I'm a little rusty in my voiceover for this build because it has been so long since I built it. I am trying to envision how I did it, but basically I'm going to be narrating this build as I am watching it back and trying to kind of be ahead of myself slightly. But if I'm just catching up with you all, then that's why. It has been a while. However, to counteract that news, exciting news, I bought myself a new microphone. I treated myself, and hopefully you will maybe notice some slight improvement on the audio quality. I mean, the mic I was using before was also a great microphone, but it was it wasn't a directional microphone. It was, I forget what it's called, dynamic, or is this one dynamic? I don't know. Whatever. Mr. Kiwi has told me before, and I kind of get it and then I forget it. So the microphone I did have was more for studio type recording, capturing audio from a room. The one I have purchased that I now use and is my mic as opposed to the last one which I was borrowing. This is a directional microphone, so it should take care of some of the kind of room noise. It should soften that and focus a bit more on my voice, which is great for things like streaming, which I do, recording these videos, and podcasting, which is something else I do. So anyway, to talk about this build, this is a build I created for, it's kind of a bit late now, but I built it when Cottage Living was released, but when Cottage Living was announced, but before it was released. So I wanted to see, I was super excited about the pack, and it is amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorites now. But I wanted to see what I could create without Cottage Living before it came out. So how cottagey could I get, and how farmy could I get without using any of those pack items? Just as kind of idea in case any of you want to have that look, but you don't have the pack, then this could be an option for you. It will be up on the gallery under my ID KiwiSimsKate to download, or you could take inspiration from it. Obviously, don't copy it, please, but you could take inspiration and do something similar using the other packs in the game and not Cottage Living. So we got the terrain manipulation tool, I believe. I forget if I use it much in here. I'm not too sure. But I did bring out a Cottage Living video just after Cottage Living was released, where I do create a pond, and it's kind of somewhat similar to this build. But I've used some of the terrain manipulation and the really cute farm objects that we have for outside. So the chicken coop and the cow/llama barn, I guess it's called. I don't know. But I will link that up above in the video now, and you can check that one out as well. So if you do have Cottage Living, you can download that one from the gallery. But if you have not purchased Cottage Living, you don't have it, then this is a great alternative. So I wanted to create a really cute kind of Cotswolds home that was possibly for two Sims. I thought maybe this would either be for a single Sim that had a spare room, or the other idea I had was for two sisters. So maybe they were both quite young, and there are 2 bedrooms in this build. So upstairs, there's just 2 bedrooms in the bathroom, and the 2 different bedrooms are kind of different color schemes. So one is sort of a green, minty green, and the other is, oh, I forget now, purplies and pinks, I think. Let's talk about that when the video gets to it, because I have completely forgotten. But I also made this build as a, I can't remember the name for it now, but basically I put in the lot trait that attracts cats, because I also imagined that they had maybe a couple of cats of their own, but they also were really into just welcoming cats in from the neighborhood, and maybe they took in all sorts of strays, and all the neighborhood cats knew that they could come here to this home and get a lot of attention and love and food. So there are some cat activities in the home, and there's some food bowls in the laundry room, the kind of backdoor laundry area. So I figured out the floor plan here, and I wanted it to feel as cottagey, as homely as possible. I thought that although the 2 Sims that live here, they are young, I thought they maybe had been raised quite traditionally. Maybe they had been raised by their grandparents in this home, and they definitely kept that kind of aesthetic. They didn't care so much for modern things. So everything in the house is kind of traditional. There's like an activity room. It's sort of like a mini library / knitting room downstairs, which I think is super cute. And I imagine that the girls were taught quite a few different skills by their grandparents. So farming and growing their own fruit and vegetables, knitting and cross-stitching. So there's some cross-stitch items as well. And just sort of very farm life stuff, maybe baking and making their own food. Pretty much anything that came with the Cottage Living pack is what I thought. I finished the kitchen first after I sort of figure out the floor plan, and I love these counters. They are super cute. I think they're the ones they're the ones. So we now have we have a few actually different items in the kitchenware that come from a few different packs, base game and even Kit to Work. No, they were quite modern, but base game and the Country Kitchen Kit and Cottage Living all have counters that can be quite country, cottagey feeling. So here, obviously working without Cottage Living, I went with the Country Kitchen Kit items. Gosh, that's a tongue twister to say. And I used this minty green colour, which I loved. I almost forgot a fridge, but I do go back and remember to place one. I can't remember when, if it's now or a little bit later. But I thought this colour scheme was super adorable for the kitchen. And I also used the oven that's from that pack and the upper cabinets, the cabinets for like around the top of the wall. It took me quite a while to figure out the way I was going to place these. Because of the shape of the kitchen, it's kind of small. I didn't want to make the kitchen feel too much smaller than it actually was. I didn't want it to feel too cramped. So I go through a few different options, but in the end, I think I end up paring it back quite a bit and going fairly simple and just having some cabinets along one side of the wall, especially once I figure out that I needed the fridge. I placed the fridge where that milk can is now, at that end of the kitchen, and I don't think I put any upper cabinets, I don't know what you just cabinets, I guess they're called, any cabinets on the refrigerator side of the kitchen. So just this little shelf above the sink, and then on the other side where the stove is, there is me putting in a fridge, remembering that, oh yeah, your Sims will need a fridge, in fact, to make food. So a green one, again, of course, but in this beautiful forest green. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite colors. I think in England it's called a racer green. It's like this very traditional British green, and it's very big in country sort of decor, and I love it. I just think it's so lush looking and very expensive looking. Yeah, love that color. And then just directly opposite the kitchen, I create a little dining area. I have trouble deciding on a hutch for the kitchen. I think in the end, I try this jungle adventure hutch because I adore it. However, I feel like I might switch it out eventually. No, maybe I keep it. And I just pretty much keep that end of the room fairly simple. Although they've got a bit of clutter in the living room, I don't think they have, because the kitchen dining is a fairly compact area, I think they keep it pretty minimal. Whereas the living room's probably where they hang out the most, the living room and outside in the garden. So those two areas are definitely decorated to the max, which, as I'm saying that, is quite ironic because I just read today that apparently there is a leaked kit. So we're getting yet another kit, to many people's dismay, that's apparently called something like Decor to the Max. So sounds like an interior decorating, a lot of objects built by, not build, but buy objects probably, maybe some wall coverings. Yeah, so I don't know, I literally just read a headline not long before I recorded this. So anyway, I digress. So I'm trying a few different options for the living room, and then I realize I have to have a fireplace. It's not a cozy cottage without a fireplace. And I just love the idea of having a fireplace in any kind of build, modern or traditional. So I move a few things around. I realize that I have to change where the window is. I don't move where I placed the TV because I didn't really imagine they watch a lot of TV. I thought that this is probably more of a household that spends their time outside or inside with tea, just having a yarn, doing some knitting together, in front of the fireplace, rather than spending a lot of time watching TV. But I pulled out one of these traditional looking TVs, I think from the debug menu, because it's just adorable and I thought it fit the build really well. And then cluttering up the fireplace, I used some candles. I love placing candles on fireplaces. I just think they work so well. I end up going with these candles from paranormal. I think they're from the paranormal stuff pack, I believe. These ones that are sort of half used, the wax is dripping. I think they look so good. However, what I don't like about them is when they glow like a greeny colour, which I'm not really that big a fan of. I wish you could adjust that because obviously it works well in a sort of paranormal build, but in just a regular build it's a little odd. But I put them in anyway because I like them when they're not glowing, when they're not on. A little bit of artwork up in the living room as well, and that adorable corner shelf which I just love to bits from Cats and Dogs as well. I use that a lot. Then right beside the living room I make this little activity room, I guess you would call it. Hobby room, that's what you would call it, yes. And I wanted a place for them to get their knitting done, their crafts done, do a bit of reading, just another space where I wasn't cluttering up the living area so much. So it can be private, or they could both spend some time in here. I did only put one chair in here, I think, plus an ottoman maybe, but I think I placed something on top of the ottoman. So you might have to move that if you want your sim to sit there. Or will they sit on top of the object? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, I used a lot of cats and dogs items for this build, bit of paranormal stuff. These bookcases, which I love, which came from either the paranormal stuff pack or the other one that came out not around the same time that was sort of paranormal. I don't remember. Oh gosh, it's so terrible. I'm not really a paranormal Sims player, so it's, yeah, I love the objects from those packs, but when it comes to gameplay, I don't tend to play with the occults. I tend to play just sort of regular old boring Sims, sorry. And then I create this little laundry area, which I really loved using these soft pastels. Just these cute colours that personally I would not really choose to have in my own house, but I thought fit the Sims that I had in mind for this build. Really cute, adorable, I guess like pretty in inverted commas. So this soft sort of lavender. I didn't give them a washer and dryer, but I did give them the washing basin in this room, and then also there's a clothesline when I go and do the landscaping and the garden area. They've got a clothesline to hang their washing on. I move things around a little bit. I think I go in and play test it as well later and adjust a few more things. Because, for example, here where I've placed the vacuum cleaner and the laundry basket, I don't think your Sims could get to it. So I think I do make some changes before I uploaded it to the gallery. But if I've forgotten to do that, I do apologise. As I'm watching it now, I can't remember. It's terrible. And just cluttering up the countertops. I use a few items like the little bucket of apples, super cute. The laundry bucket, and some pet treats as well, because that's the room that I put the pet bowls in. So whether or not you want cats here or dogs, I've furnished it for, with the idea that there'd be a cat here, but I mean, just if you don't want that, that's all good. Just either take it out or, leave the bowls and have a dog. That would be cute as well, I think. And then I pretty up the exterior a little bit more with some more planter boxes. I just think planter boxes pops a house. Does that make sense? Like, it really brings a house to light. And it's difficult, I find, with modern exteriors because they can often look boring. I find it very difficult to decorate the exterior of a modern home so that it's eye-catching in a thumbnail or a photo or a picture screenshot. Whereas with cottages and more traditional builds, I find it so much easier because you just put ivy everywhere, you put planter boxes, you put that bougainvillea that we got from Jungle Adventure, which is just gorgeous, and it looks like it belongs in that kind of a build. It looks like it belongs in that kind of a build, whereas in a modern build, it would look a bit odd. Anyway, I move on back to the interior, and I actually put 2 bathrooms to this build. I'm not sure why. I think because I wasn't sure what else to put in this room. So I don't actually think this build needs 2 bathrooms. And if you wanted to make another bedroom, or if you wanted to make this into a family build and maybe have a parent's room and 2 kids' bedrooms, you could absolutely do that and just use, probably I would say, the downstairs bathroom as the main bathroom because it's bigger. The upstairs bathroom is quite small, but you could absolutely do that for 2 Sims, which is what I personally had in mind. 2 bathrooms is a lot. It's pretty generous, so you could easily change that. Then we move upstairs, and I am just now realizing that I told Porky Pie lies earlier. I think I was thinking of the other bedroom that I've yet to furnish in this build. I thought that was the mint one, but it is this one. So this bedroom here, I made a kind of a mint green theme, so using some minty green curtains, this adorable chair for the desk, which I think came from Cats and Dogs. In fact, I think the desk and chair came from Cats and Dogs. Is that right? I'm not sure. You're probably yelling at the video going, "No, Kate, don't you know your Sims?" So I also wanted to use that adorable bedspread that's mint green. That definitely came from Cats and Dogs, I think. Right? I think. Okay, now I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure of anything anymore. But I don't often do like a color scheme bedroom. And I also don't often use pastels. It's not really my go-to when building in The Sims. So I wanted to try both of those things in this build, especially with the idea that it was this kind of cute cottage to, quite feminine Sims live here, traditional kind of, yeah. So that's why I used a lot of pastel. And then I do the upstairs bathroom, which is pretty simple. I use a lot of old-fashioned looking items like the bathtub from the Vampires pack and the hanging light bulb that I think came from Eco Living did it. And it's just the sort of single bulb that hangs from the ceiling. And the bathroom is all pink, which I thought was adorable. Second bedroom, which I thought maybe was for the younger Sim potentially, is all blue. So quite pastely blue, light blues. Again, in my mind at least, I thought it was for a young girl, maybe a teenager, maybe a young adult. And I placed a couple of skill objects in here as well. So they've got the knitting bag as well up here. So maybe the Sim is more into knitting than the other one. And also a violin. for a little bit of musical skill, perhaps. Maybe the sim wants to, dreams of being a concert violinist or something. And then I pretty much finished with the interior by this stage, and I moved to the garden, which I had a lot of fun making. However, with the arrival of Cottage Living, I do love all the stuff we got for outside, like the chicken coop, like the animal barn, all the objects for the pond, just super cute. But if you don't have Cottage Living, don't fret, because I've got this build to help you out. We've got a few really cute debug objects and live edit objects which I use here. So the well being probably my favorite thing, and I don't know what pack that came from, I'm sorry, but it's adorable and it's in either the debug or the live edit objects menu, and I thought it just had that cottage vibe, probably been there a very long time, probably not functioning anymore. But I don't know, in my imagination, I like to think that this is a pretty old school house, so maybe it does still function. Maybe they still use the water from the well to, at least for the gardening. I don't know. I think it's a cute concept. And lots of flowers, of course. Lots of flowers from the Romantic Garden stuff pack. Is that what it's called? If you want to learn about The Sims 4, do not come to KiwiSimsKate's channel. I do my best. I just have a terrible, terrible memory, okay? I actually, here I've changed some of the flowers to kind of dark purples and reds, but I do change that eventually because I just thought it was a bit much, and with all the other flowers it was starting to get a little overwhelming. I mean, I was saying yes, I want flowers everywhere, but at a certain point the different colors get too much. I like to stick to a rule of threes. My partner just recently bought The Sims 4, and it is so much fun watching him discover how to play. And I was not really teaching him how to build. Like, he could figure it out himself, but just giving him a few tips and tricks that I like to use when I build. And I was talking to him about my rule of three, and especially when it comes to landscaping, even down to things like how many objects. I often stick to the rule of three. So if I'm putting down a rock, then I will probably also put down a plain grass and a single colored flower, and then move on to another spot. Also the same with trees. If I'm placing a tree at the base of a tree, I will probably put three things around it: a rock or a set of rocks, a single colored, a single shade of green grass, and maybe another green item that has a very light colored flower in it. The other thing I use for the rule of threes is colors. So that's kind of why I thought of this. I've sort of gone on a tangent, but I really liked landscaping this place. I kind of went a little wild out the back. They do have their section of garden that they keep fairly manicured. I also added Patchy the Scarecrow, who came with seasons, I believe, and you can cultivate a relationship with Patchy, and Patchy will actually help you with your gardening. So if you build up enough of a relationship score, then Patchy will help you with watering, with harvesting as well, I think, and just generally taking care of the garden. And it's such a helpful thing to have. It's just such a shame that personally I don't love the look of the object of Patchy. I wish there was maybe another alternative to Patchy, because he's kind of terrifying looking. Screenshots will be here shortly, and if you'd like to download this build, my gallery ID is KiwiSimsKate, and you can find this build and all of my others there. There are 1 or 2 marked with CC, so just make sure you have that selected if you want to see everything, but most of my builds are CC free. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel and help me grow. And you'll also get notified when I bring out new builds. You can follow me on twitch.tv/KiwiSimsKate, which is where I stream live twice a week, playing mostly The Sims 4, but every now and then some other variety of games. My Twitter and Instagram handles are also both KiwiSimsKate, and really great places just to keep up with everything I'm doing. Thank you so much for watching this today. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care out there. Bye.